Hi, my name is Scott. I'd like to introduce, we decided to buy Ryobi table saw after all, and this past weekend we also bought a 12-inch miter saw as well. Alright, we researched it online as well as I've done project reviews. I've watched a lot of people do their videos, and the only problem I'm having to conclusions with is this. When they put it together, they don't do it detailed well enough. And I don't want the consumer or anyone else having a problem with this. Okay? Please, before you actually buy any table saw, make sure you do the right thing by researching if you actually need it. This table saw specifically is going on the back of my portable workstation that we're going to be rocking and rolling here in about a month. Okay? We already bought half of it. We're putting it together. We're going to be makeshifting it. I'll have a table saw and a miter saw on one end, table saw on the other. And the cool thing about this table saw, I'll show you. Alright, before we do all that, we're actually going to do this. We're going to assemble this piece of equipment. Now, when it comes out of the box, it comes just like you see. I already had gone ahead and put the knob on it. And it goes into a little slot. It's a flathead screwdriver with a locking nut that slides right behind the molding. And you don't have to worry about it, but screw it in. And that's what raises and lowers the blades. Now, the rest of the equipment it came with, pusher, your fence, miter gauge, spanner wrench, and what we call that other piece of equipment. Oh, that's right. That's your blade wrench. Okay? Granted, I've turned around and worked a good 12-hour day today, so I'm a little bit tired, so bear with me. And I do thank you for watching, too. Alright, I'll show you how to do this as well. It came with the key, a couple black screws, a little short screw, an indicator, as well as a machine screw, and it showed that on the plastic, where it screws into the plastic, a cap. And the problem that we had when we turned around and walked over here, when you put this together, it only had 2 of the 4 rails. And how you make sure you do it right, please pay attention, because if you do it backwards, it will bow it out. Okay, all the screws are identical. One goes on the outer, one goes on the inner. See the outs? Exactly identical on the 4 corners. Please make sure you do that, because when it comes to pairs, it only comes in with one side, and you have to put the centers in. So make sure you have them identical. If you don't, it'll be bowed. Alright, this is with the quick release. This saw is a 15 amp, 10-inch miter saw with a rip cut of 27 inches. Now, to make it 27 inches, we're missing something on this side, I see. Well, if you actually look on the opposite side, and you slide out the rails, guess what? Here's the additional 27 inches. How to make that work? You have guides. Let's make sure these go in the right way. Now you have 2 locking levers on the other side, and it slides all the way in. You lock them in. Now it did come with a manual, and I do speak 4 languages, and one of them is in gibberish. And trust me, anybody's ever worked with some of these manuals, Lord behold, it's not the world's greatest. So this is what we're doing y'all for. We're making sure everything is what y'all can see. Alright? Now, let's see what we want to put together. Any suggestions? I appreciate that. Alright, first side we're going to do is a little cap that goes over here. It's this little black cap. It pushes right underneath the front. And it slides right there. Now, granted, you want to make sure you can put the indicator on it. And the indicator slides through. That's it. Take the screw. And you lock it in place. Now you will have to do a little adjustments to make sure that you get the right measurements. And it goes out to 27 inches. So flush it up against the 14. And it does have a little plastic nipple in there as well, so the top one actually sits in there as a groove, and you can adjust it. That's all you do. Now, it has two little black screws that we have here. They actually go right here. And you plug that in. And I'll show you what those screws actually go to. I do apologize, it is starting around sunset here in our backyard, and we're still working in our yard. And we have this little bitty screw, the itty bitty one, and this goes over here. Now this goes on the back rail, and the little slot that you screw it in, and all it does is that. That's it. Now, so far everybody knows where everything goes. The hardest part that you're going to have, if it did come out of the box, and we did do this throat plate has the saw, has the knife. And I'll bring it up, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. And when it comes out of the box, it's actually flushed. Okay? You're going to have an orange lever down here that you're going to be pushing up and down, and you're going to have to adjust it. And how to do that is you pull it up. I'm not going to adjust it because it is a pain in the butt. To believe it or not, to put the guard and the kick plate on after you do it, trust me, you have to adjust it. And we already done all that. So what we did is we put the throw plate back on. Now this has any kick and a guard that goes with it. Now, trial and error, since we did buy this yesterday, and we did put it together, and it took over an hour just to figure it out, to make sure it's done right. With all the videos we did see, they never really showed this bit. On the back of this kick, okay, you pull down, and it's spring loaded. Be very careful, trust me. You put it up on the top rail right here, push the little button in, the indention. Be very careful because it does kind of kick out sometimes. You just got to be patient after you get it set. Yeah, it wants to give a little bit of problem, but that's normal. There you go. Now make sure it's resting on the throat plate and not on your equipment, because it actually does have enough torque to scratch. And this is a strong aluminum base. The guard, as you can tell, has your check and your no-go. Your go and your no-go. Okay? And the way you figure that out is it has a back piece that has a little bitty hook in there, a rail. You slide it in into that top rail. And it wants to be a tail feather. And it has a little locking device. You just make sure it goes back. That is the proper way of putting this together. People, they didn't show me how to do this, and I had to figure this out on my own when I bought the table saw. So, it is correct. No other ifs, ands, and buts. I'm making sure my subscribers and people who watch this video actually see it, so they know what to expect. There's your guard. There it is. That is the go. We are ready for operation. And it does not come out. Okay? That's the way it rolls. Now, I showed you what the two screws were for. Let me show you over here again. This is where the storage is for your push. So all you gotta do is slide it in, lock it in. That's your storage rail. For your spanner wrenches, and when you get in there on the throat plate, this goes beside a big nut that has a groove. And all you do is you slide it over the groove and you hold it. And you take it and you tweak it. It breaks it loose. This is a 10-inch, 22 teeth blade, and you can put anything that's standard blade on it. That for the miter saw as well as for the table saw. Make sure that you actually are very careful so you don't end up cutting your hands. Do wear gloves because you won't. Now, since we're on this side, this is where these pieces go. There's a little knot over here, little thumb piece for storage. If you're not using these, and this is where it goes. Don't matter, I just like mine in an X. Now we're not finished, we got one more thing we put over here. This is the actual piece. There's no specials. It doesn't say how to put this in. But that's where it goes. Now, I've seen the videos where they show where the fence goes up here. This is not even remotely loose. It's not flimsy. But when it locks into place, it ain't going nowhere. I can pick up this miter saw or table saw with this mounted. As you can see, it ain't going nowhere. On the gate, on the fence, sorry, it actually has a sight glass that you can turn around and show your measurements. And then when you get your measurements where you want it, just lock it into place, it'll be there for you. On the far side, there's only one little slot left. It's on this side over here. This is where you put your miter gauge. That's it. You may have to tap on it a little bit. It does a little tight. It's not flimsy at all, surprisingly, because I've seen videos where it showed it was flimsy. And the last but not least is the key. That key has to go right here, locks in. That's what clicks on, that's what clicks off. Without the key, it don't work, and we both know that. I'll be doing some cutting a little later. Now, how to mount this on the stand, you pull it out, and this is the way it's supposed to look. After you do it right, it sets up just perfect. It has these little bitty black pieces right here that show that's the way the stand's supposed to set. Now this is simple. Make sure the cord is out of the way. And it's got little locking pieces. And yes, it is easy to do, but you do have to make sure you see them. Alright, you have little thumb screws. Lock and unlock. You turn it. And guess what? There's your stand. And when you take it apart, reverse the situation. If you don't plan to put it on a mobile workstation, on the very back of this has two Velcro straps. And that's where it lays. You hook it up to the back, you tighten it up, and you're done. That's when you put it away. This has, all you have to do here, like I said, to open this up, thumb screw, slides out. There's your 27 inches. That's as much as you can do in a panel. That's it, folks. It's not very hard, but when I watch the videos of myself trying to figure this out, because I normally don't have to use a table saw, but in this case we were getting ready to do a mobile station that was requiring a table saw as well as an extra miter saw on stand. I went with Ryobi. I bought this at Home Depot yesterday for $199. This will be the first time you actually find out how much it actually costs, because normally I don't put prices online. But I did my research on it, and it is a good piece of equipment. It is the low end of the construction saws, where you have your DeWalt and you have your Milwaukees, you have your Ridgets, and this right here is matched up. It's the low end, but it's still a good saw. So all I can say is I hope y'all stay tuned. I appreciate the subscribers. I do appreciate the likes. I hope to see more, and I hope to be able to show you what the entire job of this house is going to look like in the next 2 or 3 years before we finish it up. But you know as well as I do, if you don't have the money, it takes time to do everything you do, and you're going to have somewhat skills to do it. Folks, this is what it is. I'm no different than any average individual who makes a little money, has to repair a home, know a little bit of everything, and able to do it. I'm glad to show you what we're doing in our home. And we did bring our young lady out today. She is our lucky charm. Her name is Precious. If you didn't see my last video, the last 2 videos, she has now joined us. She's our outside kitty, and she is the most adorable thing we have. Other than that, folks, I thank you. Please subscribe. Please make comments. I will give them back as quickly as possible. I have proven that point here lately. I thank you again. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye.